morning, friends, and welcome to another edition of Unlock Brand with Bradford. Bradford is a global 30-year-old global licensing agency. Started way back in 30 years back in New York, and now we operate out of New York. We have offices in London and we have offices in New Delhi. The company was started with the idea of helping global organizations, global brands, IPs, and also a lot of Indian brands and Indian IPs to look at licensing to unlock their value and also look at new streams of revenue for them. And so we have been very, very successful for over the years, and now we are extending this through these webinars, a lot of knowledge to potential licensees, brand owners, and also the industry at large in terms of how they should look at licensing. So today's discussion is around how you should really, how the whole landscape of retail and distribution has changed in India through licensing. And that's an opportunity we need to discuss. So I will bring in my colleague Vatsal to give a full presentation. But before that, I will give you a little bit on what is the licensing and how it really works. So a lot of people who don't know licensing, licensing is where you give your intangible asset, which is a brand, to somebody else to trade under your fixed license, to trade under that brand. So which means that, say I was Electrolux and I transferred my brand to somebody else, and somebody would produce goods under Electrolux, and then there would be a license fee shared with the brand owner. That's how licensing works. Because it is an intangible asset which gets further, then it has to have a very strong protection and controls. Unless you bring strong protection and control, it doesn't work. Another area which is very important in licensing is that licensing is a very long-term strategy. It's not a short-term strategy. You need to really see through the whole program. And I will talk about how you really develop the program. And this is a mistake a lot of people do because they don't really invest time in developing the right program and just go and look at a very opportunist approach and just reach out to the market and just extend the brand. And that's where a lot of mistakes and failures happen. So I feel that the program has to really look at from a very, very long period. And I see some of the successful brand owners globally have been very, very effective on that because they work on the triple E model. The triple E means how do you say your program is engaging? That's very important. How are you engaging the end customer? Because you might be giving your brand to a licensee, potential licensee, and licensee sometimes is a very short thinker, because most of the license programs would run, say, sometimes a very, very short period, which are promotional, and some are a little bit of short-term period, which can be anything 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, and some are very long period. But still, the licensee has a mindset which is still very short-term versus the brand owner. Brand owners would have, I know programs which have been running in the markets for 30 years, 40 years, and so on and so forth. So if you're running for that kind of a program, as a brand owner, you need to really, as a licensor, you need to really see that how your brand is engaging, with the end customer. Second, how effective the program is being executed. Effectivity of the program also has to be monitored. And third is that how the program is evolving, how the evolution of the whole program would work, which means it should not limit itself. It should continue to be relevant. In the market, I've seen a lot of programs which started very well, and at later stage, they got fatigued and because they were not relevant anymore. So this is something which we at Bradford really work with our clients in terms of helping them in terms of how the larger engagement with the end customer is happening, how the program is effectively executed, and how the program continue to evolve. Another thing which I mentioned when we started this unlock thing, that there are two things which, especially for Indian environment, licensing brands should know. That in licensing, it's a combination of emotion. So how do you really bring the emotion out? And second is, how do you really find what is the unlock value in the brand? And this is a combination of how licensing works. Now, before I bring in Vatsal, I'll give you about 10 points which has to be done for whenever you're looking at a licensing as a licensee or a licenser. You need to really see, it's more from a licensor viewpoint. If you are looking at getting into and passing your brand, you need to really look at these 10 things. One, you need to really stay honest to the brand, and while you need to also see the sensitivity of localization. I've seen a lot of programs which have been brought from outside. Either they try to too much localize, which actually kills the brand, or sometimes they are not sensitive to the local requirement. Say, for example, if I was a Tommy Hilfiger and I was trying to bring the brand to the market, while understand that has to be a larger Americana feel to it, I think. But there is a certain amount of a localization. There is a society aspects, the way people buy, And this very changes very clearly. I see, when people consume in markets like Asia, they want really big logos and big structures. When it is in Europe, it's very minimalistic. When it goes to even countries like Japan, it is even more minimalistic. So you need to really see how sensitive the consumer behavior is and how they didn't. I think you don't change the principle of the brand. You don't have to really, go and to do too much of localization, but you need to be very sensitive on. And I think second, we have suffered at Bradford a lot of companies which have started licensing, but they have not protected themselves. So you need to really have a strong legal firm, an IP firm, which should need to have you protect, because there are multiple classes which are there, and people, when you start one program, you normally try to protect on that, and quickly other people would register in other classes. And then we have major disputes, and we are not able to extend most of the programs because we feel that the trademarks were not well protected. That's the second point. Third point is be extremely sharp on your target group. You don't have to go very wide. And I have seen a lot of programs which have actually looked like going all over and actually failed, because they need to be very, very sharp on where they stand for. And even the age group, even the TG, very, very sharp, and stay honest. And especially for India is a very large marketplace. You don't have to be adventurous in going everywhere. You need to stay very, very sharp on the perspective. Defining the categories into what I call primary, secondary, and short programs, and never start with the secondary program. Always start with the primary program, and also a short term. Sometimes short term are very strategic, which is more promotional, right? So you want to test the market, you want to go with that program first, and then go to your primary program, and then extend your program to secondary categories. Never start with your secondary categories. I've seen people who say, you're a fashion brand and you want to really get into core categories fashion, but there are a lot of allied categories around it. But don't start with that. I've seen brands been failing out. I mean, there was a company, L, started luggage first, and there was no distribution of luggage, and they were not able to do that. That actually impacted their fashion program also, because that came later. So a lot of companies do the mistake being very opportunist, and they try to run for our secondary programs, which it doesn't do. Fifth point is selection over sales. Never really look at a licensee who really doesn't fit in the program. And I feel that we are doing currently a very large deal. And I really appreciate my US office, because they're going through the whole selection process in a much detailed manner. And sometimes I see that firms in India don't spend that kind of effort, because when you're looking at a license, don't look at what you're going to be generating on a year one, year two. What is the kind of capability you see the licensee would have, an interest from his commitment level, from his organizational capabilities, and a long-term value creation which they can bring. Maybe the first 1 or 2 years might not be interesting in the program. But the overall in 10 years, if the program goes, and we've seen a lot of big failures, especially with big companies, because they put top dollar, but they're not very committed on the long term on the program. And we've seen failures in a lot of these companies. I mean, we've seen the failures in, I don't want to name, but big, departmental stores who just take the program because they feel that there is a demand being seen in that period, but they're not long term committed to that program. So there are a lot of companies who are very opportunistic in approach. So one has to really see, how do you really select over sales? You need to really see 4 fits. What is a strategic fit, financial fit, operational fit, and marketing fit. These 4 fits are very important in a potential licensee. What is the strategic advantage he brings in outside is investment. Second is there a financially commitment? Because the license programs over the years, when they grow, they need more capital to be deployed. So just making initial commitment, a lot of companies come and put up initial MGs of the year 1, year 2. But they don't have ongoing, budgeted, forecasted capital, which would be invested over the 3 or 3rd or 4th year, 5th year, when the program becomes even larger. That's very big problem, and I've seen a lot of programs actually died in the first 2 to 3, 4 years, because the kind of capitalization the program needed after a certain period was not there. For example, so you were doing consumer goods. The first year MGs can run on a $1 million sale or $2 million sale, but if the program goes on to becoming a 100 million business, it needs a far more capital deployment, right? It has, because sometimes brands have big potential and people are very opportunist again. The first 2-3 years they would trade, and most of the time, even the brand is doing well, they don't have capital to back it up. So really see how the financial fit is there. Operational fit is also very important. How operationally their organization is designed to support that program. And the final is go to market. What is a marketing fit? That becomes and I think, then how do you really develop a long-term licensing program? So also it's very important to do what I call the alpha beta test, test in a small group. if the program is well developed and picked up, and then you can really scale. So it's called alpha beta. So never go all out in the entire thing. Do a one season, very small pick. Wait for that entire thing, see the reaction, how the market groups react, and then you can do that. Every quarter you need to do what I call the 8-point, which is how is the offtake of your product in the market, and why people are buying it. Is what is more compelling to them, and what is the life use for that. I mean, especially for merchandising and children products, which I think they have very particular time of offtake, and the validity of the whole consumer attachment to the product is very, very short and very short lived. So you really have to see that how relevant it was when it was taken. So a lot of consumer viewpoint or consumer intelligence have to come in. Bradford does a lot of work on that space. Another thing which is very important is the aftermarket support. This is something extremely ignored by most of the licensors. I don't want to name them, but they come to India and program them and give the licensees. Most of the time, the relationship is either with the agency or with the licensee, more from an approval viewpoint or royalty collection viewpoint, but they don't really understand what is happening with the customer. And you see a lot of brands have got damaged because their after sales, the kind of commitment the licensee had to do was not there. And this is very important to really assess. So I feel that as a Bradford, now we tell our companies that, look, don't just engage us for finding your right licensee or getting the approvals done or for the royalty collection, but let's go and understand what consumer is telling. And unless until you take the aftermarket feedbacks, it doesn't work. And finally, you need to really do what I call the the quality audits. How do you really do quarterly quality and performance audits? And it should not also be based on finding out the sales cycles and royalty forecast and so on and so forth, but it's more about going into depth of in terms of what the program or the product or the distribution is saying. So all these are early points which we wanted to share. I would now like to invite Vatsal to really take the discussions ahead and show a presentation how we have done that. We will also be more than happy to take questions. If you are having any particular question, please go in a Q&A box and put your questions. Before I think Vatsal comes in, I will also like to extend a personal invitation because we have, one is Bradford. Bradford is a licensing outfit, agency outfit, but we have also another company called License India. License India is hosting a very large show tomorrow, and it starts at 10 o'clock. We will be more than happy. My colleague Dheeraj, who's head of our digital, would also put a link on this. So if you want to register, please register yourself. We are bringing world's best names. All of them are coming for the tomorrow's licensing show, and there are many exhibitors which are happening. So we have about 50 over global exhibitors coming in. So almost every big name of the world of licensing is going to be there tomorrow. So please, if you're most welcome, a personal invitation from my side. Over to you, Vatsal, please.
Thank you so much, sir, for giving the initial thoughts on the licensing industry and how it has revolutionized the entire the segments actually. So I'll be now taking forward a couple of discussions on how globally and in fact in the Indian licensing industry has taken the entire retail, the entire distribution, the entire supply chain via Storm actually. Okay. So I'm going to start with the so yes. So there are three perspectives that I'll be discussing in today's webinar. So how globally the licensing industry has been working and how this has made a change in fact in the Indian market also, and how the entire Indian market has started adopting licensing as a new tool in terms of expansion, in terms of the extension, in terms of getting the new opportunities, in terms of the new working or the revenue streams and a couple of things basically. So licensing, as sir already shared with everyone, that it's basically the extension of the brand into various categories, where the brand licenses out the IP, for for various segments for a particular tenure, where the licensee can capitalize on the brand name or the brand that the valuation that the brand has created over a period of years actually. In fact, I would say whatever the merchandise that we have been seeing, even for Disney or a lot of brands, okay, it's all not completely manufactured by the brands itself. They have completely licensed it out to many other players, right from the distributors to manufacturers to retailers to everybody. So it depends completely on the manufacturers or the retailers to do either they can import the goods or they can manufacture it or they can retail it, however it is. Okay, so that's going to be a particular tenure which is going to be set. There's going to be a particular royalty rates which is going to be worked out. There's going to be a particular MGs. So a lot of commercials comes into the place, a lot of SOPs comes into the place in terms of the designing, in terms of the working out the entire design range, everything actually. Now coming to the licensing type, so the entire licensing industry, if I talk about, so has been divided into close to about 5 to 6 segments. So with starting with corporate licensing, so if I talk about corporate brands, so we have got Westinghouse, we have got Philips. So these are a couple of examples who have been doing a really great wonders when it comes to the licensing industry. If I talk about the fashion, so fashion, we have been seeing Gap, we have been having Aeropostale, we have been having Michael Kors. So they have already a very established place when it comes to the fashion licensing. Coming to the character segments, of course, Disney is one of the leading players when it comes to the character and entertainment segment. Disney has been into licensing for the past, at least for the minimum 7, 8 decades actually. Okay. And they have done really wonders when it comes to the character licensing industry. Again, we have got celebrity licensing where we have got Elvis Presley to Hrithik Roshan is one of the very well-known examples. So if I talk about the brand called HRX. Similarly, we have got Salman Khan for Being Human. Similarly, we have got other celebrities right from the international genre to Indian genres. When it comes to, let's say, music, so we have got Billboard as one of the licensees who has got a really wonderful program across global markets, right from the cafes to merchandise to shoes to footwear. They have got all the merchandise available across the retail. When it comes to sports, we have got some wonderful brands like Atletico de Madrid, Manchester City is there. Wimbledon is one of such examples. IPL is one of the examples when it comes to the sports licensing. So these two segments, as I told initially, I'll be discussing on the how globally the licensing market has evolved, and that has been already there. And in fact, if I talk about the international markets, whatever the whatever the products that we see, I would say every element, every single sphere has got a licensing element in that. Okay. So if I talk about the numbers, so it is close to about $280 billion, which globally licensing is doing. Okay, and that's how the growth has been. If I talk about the growth also, so the growth has been close to about 5 to 8% year on year every right from starting 2014. If I'm talking about. Okay. US and Canada leads the path, so they are compromising close to about 58% of the worldwide consumption of licensed goods and services, which is close to about $162 billion, which is again one of the top numbers which US and Canada have been doing. Again, after US and Canada, of course, it's the Asian market which is capturing the biggest segment when it comes to the licensed merchandise globally. If I talk about the sales, as per the properties, so entertainment and character is one of the leading industry when it comes to licensed merchandise. Corporate brand licensing is another segment which is again following up with entertainment and sector characters basically. Fashion is again one of the most prominent player when it comes to licensing merchandise and accessories that we have been already seeing in the retail. As I told already, globally licensing has been widespread, and they already have a very established market when it comes to merchandise, when it comes to retail, when it comes to supply chain, when it comes to the markets everywhere. So not I would say one or two. In fact, I would say every other player in the international market is into licensing, right from if you talk about be it Lamborghini or if you talk about Superfly or Manchester City or Gap to every. So the licensing, so what I would like to share is that the licensing element is applicable and it's present every single segment, every single sector of the industry, be it FMCG, be it corporate, be it fashion, be it music, be celebrity. So if you have that potential of, if you have created that legacy in the market, if you have having that, emotional connect with the brand name, if you already have that unlock potential with the brand name that you have already created in the market. So it is very easy for a brand to get out in the market and start exploring what new categories, what new extensions that can be done, while licensing the brand. So it can start with phases. We can have a phase one extension as discussed initially. So that extension should go in phases basically. So you have a phase one extension where the extension matches with the core DNA of the brand. So let's say if I'm talking about a fashion brand like Gap. So probably my initial extension would be from apparels to footwear to some fashion accessories to caps to so this is going to be so probably in the next phase we can talk about the watches, probably the sunglasses or something like that. Okay. Similarly, if I talk about for a Budweiser like brand, so probably the initial category that we can look forward to maybe the FMCG. Let's say we can look forward to waters, we can look forward to some non-alcoholic beverages, something like that, and then we can get into the fashion apparels or something. That's the phase two extension, which will be we can work out. Okay. And just to share, in fact, even the liquor brands like Budweiser or Heineken or Corona or Jack Daniels and all, they've also now started getting into licensing, and they've got a huge licensing program across the globe. In fact, if I talk about their licensing merchandise sales itself, so they are doing close to about $1.7 billion of sales only through their licensed merchandise. Now, their licensed merchandise is present across the space. So right from the apparels that they have, right from the barware that they have, right from the they have come up with the kitchenware also, right from the FMCG ketchups that they have. So they have now coming into weight because again with the liquor brand you have a lot of restrictions when it comes to marketing also. So that's where they have also started exploring a lot of categories through licensing, and that's where they have been very successful also. Okay. Similarly, we have got Marie Claire is one of a very wonderful example I would like to share. So Marie Claire has been a French magazine, Paris based. Okay. We entered with the licensing program for Marie Claire close to about 4 years in India. And we started off with the apparel segment, and following to apparels today, we have been able to extend the brand right from personal grooming to fashion accessories to now we have got their salons also. So that has been the a tenure of success which we have created or developed with Marie Claire actually. Okay, being an international brand, I would say not just the generic merchandise that we have extended the brand into, but we have also got into the hybrid concepts also. The hybrid concept is basically, I would say, the amalgamation of franchising and licensing both. So you create the concept, you develop the concept, and then you expand the entire concept by franchising. So we created the first concept for Marie Claire Salon, and now so that's in New Delhi, and now we are taking into the other metro cities as well. So similarly, we have got Pepsi. Pepsi, we have done a couple of promotional merchandise. Very recently, we have done it with Aditya Urban Brands Group, and we are planning a co-branded merchandise with Flying Machine actually. So when it comes to licensing, so you can work out three multiple segments actually, I would say. So you can have a full-fledged collection, you can have a promotional collection, you can have a capsule collection, you can have probably a hybrid collection, hybrid concepts also. So it is the brand needs to understand in what segments, in what spheres, the brand can fit into, and how we can create that, valuation over a period of time. So maybe we can start with, small short-term programs, and then we can get into the long-term associations actually. And of course, when it comes to the corporate brands like probably Westinghouse or like Acer is one such example. So the entire association is actually a long-term association which goes in. Okay. So that's how the entire internationally, I would say, the entire global licensing industry has ventured out, and every single segment you will find the licensing element present. Okay. Uh, right from be it Disney, be it any other kind. So as I said, licensing has emerged as a really wonderful innovative strategy, not only for the brand owners, I would say, in fact, for the all these retailers, to the manufacturers, to exporters, to everybody, where they can actually capitalize on their existing product. So they have the expertise of X product, and they can actually take up a license and they can create a complete portfolio out of it. Okay, so maybe somebody is into footwear, somebody is into apparel, somebody is into fashion accessories, somebody is into small leather goods, somebody is into backpacks. Okay, so they can probably have a association with a brand. They can create a complete range. They can create a complete portfolio. They can launch it into the market, and they can actually create another revenue stream out of it. And probably getting an association with a brand helps the licensee to get a easy penetration into the retail also. So that is something which is very important, because getting into the retail has, if specifically if I talk about the Indian market, so it's something which is very difficult initially. The entire, if I talk about the entire population wise, or the entire segment, or the entire sector, so I would say 60-65% of the entire retail sector was completely unorganized. Okay, it now with the I would say with the emergence of e-commerce, it has actually made a lot of tasks easier for a licensee to enter into the retail through e-commerce and another digital platforms. They can actually capitalize on that. They can actually work out a lot of range. They can work out a lot of inventories also, because when it comes to the digital space, there's no shelf space actually. So you have have the entire pan India to sell. So licensing has actually developed as, and it has actually come up as a really innovative strategy, not only for the brand owners but the licensee also. So in fact, for the brands, of course, it's a very win-win situation. You can have the opportunity to grow your brand, reach a wider audience. You can build a strong relationships with the customers. You can create a complete incremental revenue, diversify your business. You can expand your brand into multiple product categories, probably. So I would like to share one example over here. So if I talk about a brand like Lamborghini, I was talking about the international and global brands, okay, and venturing out into licensing. Now for Lamborghini, the idea of getting into licensing was not the commercial aspect. For them, the idea was to reach to the end consumer who might be not able to buy the Lamborghini, but he aspires to have a Lamborghini T-shirt, or probably he would aspire to have a Lamborghini jacket, or a trolley bag or something like that. Okay. So you have to be very particular when it comes to licensing program. You have to be very particular when it comes to the vision. Actually, the vision has to be very clear. What vision that you are going to come up with, what thoughts that you are going to come up with, or let's say what you want to uh, plan, and how you want to diversify the brand, and how you want to take a control of it also. So one so there is one aspect. One is the extension of the brand. The other aspect is the control of the brand. That's also that's something that's very important. You have to have that understanding when it comes to the extensions. There has been a couple of instances where the brand has got extended into a couple of categories, which is again beyond their the portfolio, or I would say the beyond their DNA or something, and they will fail in terms of the controlling the entire brand as a or the category actually. So again, so that's something which is very important. The brands should take care of. Again, protect your brand against unauthorized products. Keep brand controls in your game. That's something which is very important. Uh, you can get into a lot of verticals also. As I told, you can have a promotional collection, you can have a capsule collection, you can get into full-fledged collection also. You can come up with hybrid concepts also, experiential formats also, where you can come up with a concept. You can create a brick and mortar segment, and you can actually franchise it by licensing. So you have got multiple avenues which you can be explored, which can be worked out, and you can take it forward basically. Now, so after talking about the international licensing market, of course, India has been a country which always aspires from the Western countries. So whatever we see in India, if I talk about the branding element, so the branding has been, generally adopted from the US markets, I would say. If I talk about the designing or the fashion elements, this has been adopted from the European countries, I would say, okay, the Italian markets or the European markets. So similarly, it is licensing, which was inherited again from the international markets only. And I would say initially it was the big corporates like Reliance, or let's say Aditya Birla or Arvind, so who were the biggies, I would say, or the big daddies who actually brought licensing into the Indian market. Okay. Initially, it was Disney, which was already there. But if I talk about the leading players or the leading brands, even if I talk about brand like US Polo or Aeropostale or Calvin Klein or Tommy Hilfiger or Lacoste for that matter, they all are licensed brands in Indian market. Somebody has been taken by Reliance, or let's say Aditya Birla, So these were the people, or these were the big corporates who got licensing to the Indian market, and that's how this entire revolutionizing started happening in the Indian retail, basically. Okay. People started aspiring for Wrangler or brands like US Polo, and they started exploring for new products also. It was initially it was only apparel which was available. Now we can see a lot of segments or a lot of categories now which we can buy and shop for US Polo or any other brand. Okay. So that's how the entire Indian market started growing, and today it has reached close to about $1.4 billion as of 2019. I'm only talking about the licensed merchandise sale, which is happening as of now, which is close to about 8,000 crores. So this is how the entire flourishing started happening in the Indian market, right from the fashion and character, which is again being one of the most prominent segments in the Indian market. Uh, Again, so following to fashion and character licensing, I would also share that another licensing segments, which is again coming up, really wonderful, are corporate licensing and the sports licensing. With the, I would say, with the emergence of this IPL, I would say this actually again created an entire atmosphere of sports licensing again in the Indian market. Initially, we did had a couple of sports clubs from the international global industry like Atletico, Barcelona, and Man City. But again, with this lot of leagues which is coming up, lot of I would say a lot of play games coming up, a lot of football clubs coming up. This has again coming up with a lot of opportunities for Indian sports licensing to mature at that level what already international market has basically. Again, corporate licensing is one of the another segments which is growing and which is booming really well in the Indian market. As of 2018, I would say the royalties, only the royalties which was received from the licensed merchandise was close to about $102.4 billion basically. Okay. Apparels as a licensed category is going in India, reason being the increasing fan base and availability of international content. That's of course is going to be because fashion is going to be there. Fashion is always going to be the key aspect of licensing. You can match it everywhere and you can fit it everywhere, I would say. So of course, the way Indian licensing industry has started coming up, so it has again opened up new doors. It has again opened up new opportunities for a lot of players coming from the small segments to big segments to for everyone, I would say. So it was initially, I would say, it was more of the retailers who were actually participating in taking a licensee or who were more keen in terms of working out a licensee and taking up a brand and planning a portfolio and but over a period of time since as I told India has always been again India has always been a manufacturing hub. Talk about any category, any product. So India has has the potential to develop and produce that. I would say. Uh, Over a period of time, again, as I told, that shift started happening from the retailers to the manufacturers to the exporters also. So today, a lot of export-oriented units, I would say the EOUs who are there, who are already into the exports of international brands, and they know the, I would say they have the know-how of the designing element, they have the know-how of the production element, they have the entire capacity, they have the entire potential, right from the merchandisers to production managers to everybody, and they know what the international market has already been biggest. What international market happens, that is again brought down in the Indian market. And since they have been going a step ahead, so now the exporters and manufacturers have also started realizing which makes sense to use their existing capacity, use their existing uh, 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 unit to develop the entire range. And why can't they sell it? And why can't they get into the retail by taking a license or taking a brand actually? So one of the examples I would share. So for Marie Claire Apparels, I would like to share here. The licensee is based out of New Delhi, and he's one of a renowned exporters and manufacturers only. So he was already into women apparels, and he was doing for a couple of other international brands and some of the domestic brands also. He understood the relevance of what licensing and how the licensing works. Okay. He took the license of Marie Claire Apparels. He started off in 2017, 2016-17, I would say. Today, the entire net worth of the licensed merchandise, which he's doing currently, is close to about 60 crores as of now. Till last year, he was only selling through the online channels, that is Myntra, Flipkart, and all of that. 2020, now his plans to get into the offline segment, that's brick and mortar also, with Shoppers Stop and the big large format stores like Lifestyle. So that is what this manufacturers have created over a period of time. Just having a license of a renowned brand, and just working on the expertise that they have, just working on the existing capacity that they have, and how they can beautifully capitalize the entire portfolio, and work out. So again, so that shift has already started happening, and right from the retailers to manufacturers to exporters. So everybody is now looking forward to what, because uh, a lot of I would say the Indian mentality has also started shifting towards the domestic market. Uh, a lot of international uh, trade practices which is happening, be it with China or some other countries, that is now started shrinking, and now people have started focusing on the domestic markets, and now they have realized the potential. Okay, if I have been doing the job work for the past 20, 30 years for so many brands, why can't I do for myself actually? So that's where they realize the potential, and they've started getting into this licensing. And I would say the licensing is the best way to capitalize on your existing capacity and get into the next steps basically, and create a complete revenue stream also. Okay. Licensing prospects now exist in all spheres of India, manufacturers, so that's already as I shared. So now licensing is now existing everywhere. So be it a retailer, be it a distribution, be it a uh, uh, you know uh, manufacturer, everybody is trying to come up with this licensing opportunity. The again, as I told, the entire Indian retail market has changed with the emergence of e-commerce, with the coming up of m-commerce and all these digital platforms. So initially, the getting into the retail was something which was very difficult, and it was time consuming, I would say. Not difficult, but it was time consuming. And people used to think, okay, let's see, probably will take a stage, or at a later stage. But with this, all this digital platform who's come up, they have made the entire retail sector much more organized, and which has actually paved the way for the license, sorry, for the all these retailers or manufacturers to get a easy entrance into the Indian segments and markets, where they can actually come up and they can sell all their merchandise basically. Corporate and fashion licensing is widely practiced now. Of course, as I told, fashion is one of the key points which is going to be there anywhere, everywhere. The attraction of licensed trademarks or business intentions appears to be at all-time high. Many eminent personalities, again. So, just to add about all this corporate fashion and everything, a lot of celebrities have started taking initiatives, and I would say not started; they have already done that, and we already have many success stories also, uh, be it being human or wrong, or I would say HRI. So these are some of the success stories which are already available in the Indian market, which was started up or which was initiated by the celebrities, and they actually came up with a lot of products, a lot of merchandise, and they did really well actually. Being Human is doing fantastically. HRX has done really wonderful. They started off with the fitness wear, they started off with the gym wear. Today they have got more than close to about 3,000 merchandise available over digital platforms. So this is again has created a gay. So there was a gap again, which was when it came to the celebrity or the personality licensing. I would talk. I would say so. So that has been again filled up by already by this players, and now this is again coming up and booming really well. And I really see in the coming couple of years only, we may have all these celebrities coming up with lot of segments, right from the beauty care to fashion to education. Like it can be anything. Okay. Right from the sports also, I would say. So that's how the entire celebrity licensing has also emerged, and that has again created a lot of avenues for the general retailers to come up and have that as, association, and they can do a wonderful portfolio and ranges with them. While we were talking about all this Indian brands in the Indian licensing market, Bradford also has that. Bradford also took that initiative because that's where Bradford, core strength lies in. So there's two segments. One is the licensing extension, which we already have been doing for all these international brands right from the past 24, 30 years actually. Okay. When we have already done some of the success stories with all these international brands, so why don't we come up with the Indian brands and take up the next steps towards licensing program and create the entire, I would say the aura, I would say the entire atmosphere to, get into the uh, other categories through licensing. And of course, there are very well-known Indian IPs and they're very well known, I would say, Indian brands, which really has that unlocked potential, I would say that unlocked value which is there, but they have never able to realize that, they can actually, experiment and come up with what they have been doing is majority of the brands, what we have seen is that in the Indian market, they try to uh, keep the entire categories with themselves. They fear a lot in terms of taking the categories into or passing it to somebody else. But that's where Bradford came in, and that we created that bridge between the brand and the licensee, and again the market basically. So now we have really wonderful success licensing programs that we have already done for a couple of Indian brands. We started off with, I would say, Carlton London and Duke and some of them in 2018, I would say initial 18. Uh, and today we are happy to share that we developed their entire licensing program right from the scratch. We did their complete portfolio. We designed their complete style guides. We did their complete range plan. We did their complete aspirations, everything. And today, I would say almost every other Indian brand that we work with, we developed a licensing program has been extended into some of the other categories, which matches with the core DNA of the brand. So that has been, one of the success that Bradford has. Only the Bradford, I would say, has created in the Indian market, being a licensing agent, one of the renowned licensing agent coming from the international background, and we've been managing all these international brands for the past so many years, right from Pepsi to GCB to 7 Up to Oxford University to all those. So that's where we did a very wonderful work when it came to the licensing programs and working with the Indian brands. So we still have close to about more than 100, I would say. I might be still low. I would say more than 100 brands in the Indian market, which really has that potential to get into the licensing program, and they can actually capitalize on the brand values and the legacy that they have created over a period of years. Okay. Yeah, of course, there are a lot of ifs and a lot of grips and a lot of controls has to be taken care of. A lot of basic SOPs has to be taken care of, and that's okay. So that's what Bradford is going to be managing basically. These are some of the portfolio brands that Bradford has been representing for the past so many years. So right from the Acer, Westinghouse to Compaq. So when we have a complete electronics portfolio, SRMB is one of brand. One of the example I would like to share to a couple of the Indian brands. SRMB has been into one of our very famous brands when it comes to home TMT bars and all of that. But again, if you think you can, if you have that emotional connect, and they have already created that retail presence and that retail value in the market, we are planning to extend, and we have got a couple of discussions also aligned for SRMB, where we are planning to extend the brand right from the cements to wall pins to a couple of other hardware and machinery things basically. So this is couple of brands that they have started taking initiatives and they started getting into licensing. Again, one of our Indian beer brand I would like to talk about, that's Medusa, where we have just really recently partnered with. We are now the very first extension that we are getting into is waters actually. That's packaged drinking waters. It's like how already international players like Budweiser or other brands have already done. I would say, in fact, Pernod Ricard, who already owns Blender's Pride and I would say Imperial Brew and all of that. So they have already been into this segment. So similarly, with Medusa, the first extension that we are getting into is completely waters, and then we are again getting into a couple of FMCG categories, and then we would be getting into the next step, that is going to be the fashion, apparels, and barware and other categories actually. Similarly, we have recently had a chance, and we really got this wonderful brand, WWF India, that's World Wildlife Fund. So that's again a very global organization body. So we have started the entire licensing program. We are working on it. We have just recently onboarded, and we have just started off with. So WWF India is again into conservation of environment and animal and nature and all of that. So coming from that perspective, WWF India has always been into I would say, creating that sustainable, business segments, talking about nature, saving the biodiversity and all of that. But that spread of message and the communication was very, I would say, very holistic approach that they were used to do. But with the association that we have worked out with WWF, we are planning to get into the retail also, where we can reach out to the customers who have not been knowing about WWF, but he would be happy to use products coming from recycled materials, organic, vegan. So that's what the kind of plan, or that's what the kind of program that we are planning to build up with WWF India actually. And I would say this is the best way to reach out to the customers and share the communication or share the message of what brand stands for, and why you should actually take that initiative of getting into sustainable products, and I would say getting into that organic, and you should start using. It's the need of the hour, and people have already started doing that, and people have already started, and they are not facing minding spending a good amount in terms of the organic products or recycled products actually. So every brand has to have a vision actually. That is something which is very important. What extensions that can be worked out, at what ways that it can be worked out, what controls that we need to take care of. With WWF in India, I cannot go to a partner who has been already into maybe a drug, let's say petrochemicals or something, which is again coming to a gray area or something in that industry. So for WWF, we have to work out only those players who have been into very, recycled, sustainable business ethics actually. So that's what the vision with WWF is going to be. With Medusa, the initial extension, probably if I try to work out Medusa small leather goods, it won't work out. So I have to be very particular when it comes to the extension, when it comes to the planning, when it comes to the strategies, when it comes to the whole portfolio or whole DNA of the brand as a whole, actually. So you have to be very specific when it comes to all this, segments and extensions. So that's how we have been working with Marie Claire Paris. As I shared their success stories, we have got into uh, uh, apparels, we did personal grooming, we did a lot of categories, and then we got into salon also. Madame is another Indian brand that we got into fashion jewelry. Now we are getting into footwears also. Alberto Torresi, again one of a very established player in I would say footwears. So now we are getting into small leather goods, we are getting into backpacks, we are getting into fashion actually. So that's how the whole extension is going to be mapped out. Similarly, we have got Carlton and Backstreet Boys. We have recently onboarded Perry Ellis, one of a very famous international brand. That's amazing. So if you can actually look forward to have that association with Perry Ellis. Okay. So this was the entire portfolio of brands that we wanted to share with you, and this how the whole licensing has changed the face of Indian retail, and that's how I would say it has made an easy, opportunity for right from the brands to a retailer to get that association and create that entire portfolio, create that entire range in the market. So that's where I would be stopping up, and that was the thought of bringing this licensing, this entire fraternity, and making them understand how we can come up with various segments, various things through licensing. That's one of a very wonderful and beautiful way of coming up with opportunities actually, and create that extensions in the market. So last but not the least, I would say, so as initially it was shared with by Gaurav sir, so tomorrow we have got only India Licensing Expo. That's so globally, just to share quickly with you. So Licensing Expo is one of, I would say, the festival which happens annually across the globe. So there are four four key locations where the licensing expo happens generally. One is the Las Vegas, one is Japan, one is London, one is China. So these are the four key locations where this licensing expo happens. India, Bradford, in association with License India, has taken this initiative to come up with the licensing expo, and we have actually entered into the fourth edition, I would say, and we have been doing really wonderful. All the brands, all the entire licensing industry comes together. They right from the retailers, manufacturers, everybody who, if you're looking for any opportunity, we can be there. So I would request everyone to please join in tomorrow. You can have the link. If you want, you can also visit License India Expo website, and you can take out a couple of more details, and you can register yourself. And we look forward to have you tomorrow at the expo. So this is one of the largest licensing. This is the only licensing expo that we manages in India. So that's there from the licensing industry, and I hope we were able to deliver a couple of good opportunities with everyone, and we would be very happy to share more opportunities in the coming years as well to all the retailers. We have already created a lot of successful stories, not only from the international paradigm but from the Indian market also. We have worked a lot of licensing programs also, and that have done really wonderful, and they're doing really great actually. So in fact, you can connect anytime for any opportunity if you would like to, you want to associate with. So we'll be very happy. Bradford would be very happy to, take the next steps forward with you. So.
Thank you very much. Thanks for attending today. And please, as I mentioned, we are hosting this tomorrow, India Licensing Virtual Expo. It's a very, very big expo, and people are writing on the group. They want some options on licensing. This is your chance. If you're a potential licensee or a licensor, this is a great opportunity for you to interact, network, and meet people. And we will be back with you next Thursday again, 11 o'clock, with another edition of Unlock Brand with Bradford. And we also bring in guest speakers. And next week, we will have some guest speakers with us. So do join in. And if you continue to build your knowledge base and network around licensing, this is a good platform to attend. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.